And welcome to the Ryan and Dave Show with our special guest, Mr. Brenlae MacMillan.
That's my job.
That's click speak for I'm Ryan. You are Dave. You did the intro. Excellent work. Usually I do it. I'm glad you're finally taking the reins. I keep trying to defer to you to take the reins, and you finally did it today, Dave. You did it. Congrats.
Hey, welcome, Brenlae. Thank you.
Yeah, Brenlae. So Brenlae's choice. This is Brenlae's choice. Any reason particularly why you chose Hereditary?
It was a bit of a surprise. It went on Netflix, and it didn't get a whole lot of publicity, but when it first came out, I was quite impressed by it. It was fucked up and stuff, but it was quite original in concept. So yeah.
I think it's developed a bit of a cult following since. Yeah, I mean, it kind of just came and went, and it had some fans to begin with, but it was mostly like a word of mouth thing. It was like, oh, you see this fucked up movie, Hereditary? Like, they wouldn't say anything about it, and they would make a point to be like, you can't know anything about it going into it. Don't read up on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all I kind of heard about it. And so I did that, and was all the better for it, because fucking twist. 30 minutes in. Wow. Just
okay. I remember Matt Manuel. You know Matt Manuel? A friend of ours of guys.
I know Matt Manuel.
Anyway, he was actually the one who suggested Hereditary to me. Because he was like, have you seen the movie where the girl goes... I'm like, no. He's like, you should watch it. But he's like, but we'll be warned, it's fucked up.
That's to say the least. Dave, is this a rewatch for you? Did you already see this?
Yeah, I watched it again last night.
Yeah,
I watched it before, but I think I got more out of this time because I think I watched it on my phone or something, or I feel like I watched it and I wasn't paying attention. Like, you know how you'll have something on and you'll be doing other stuff, or you'll be on your phone every once in a while. But this time it was just me and the movie and I.
Grammatically correct. Excellent.
An encounter with Jesus.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys want to skip straight to the end?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sorry.
Fucked up or what?
Well, it turns out that the girl was actually, according to the witch lady person, supposed to be a guy, and they switched souls. His soul went everywhere the fuck that went, but then, and you see in the end the teenager goes like that, right? Which
so King Payman was promised to some vessel, and I hadn't this is the benefit of a rewatch. Like, there's a lot of stuff early on they plant that you don't necessarily remember, even though you probably registered. Like,
you know what they plant? They plant the idea that you have to pay attention to details. They even say that.
Yeah.
At the beginning, when dude's in class, and the teacher's like, "You gotta pay attention to details."
So they're scolded.
They even give you the theme. The teacher gives you the theme. Is it more tragic to choose the evil or to have the evil thrust upon you? Sorry, I don't mean to get you excited there, Brenlae, but I didn't know any other words to use there.
Jeez, it was arousing, thanks.
Thrusting the evil upon you.
Thrust.
Yeah.
Something Ryan will be doing for a while.
And it still didn't give everything away. It was just like, it's an amazing movie.
But when she's telling she's talking to her when she's putting her to bed, and she goes, like, they're talking about the grandma, and she goes, "Grandma wanted me to be a boy."
Yeah.
And it's such a throwaway thing, like, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't register as meaningful until the very end. And
it just seems odd, and it doesn't kind of
seem really yeah, because that guy Payman or whatever, this eighth king of hell, lusts for a fucking male vessel. So, yeah.
I found what really kind of struck home to me. It was an average movie until she got her fucking head knocked off out of the car, And he's just lying there in bed like this, right? And he's like shaking and shit. And his mother, you just hear screaming at the top of her lungs, like, holy fuck, man.
Oh, that was so well done. Like, they don't show discovering anything because you can't film that horror. Like, you have to put that in your head. Like, you can't fucking. I mean, you could film it and have her act it out and stuff like that, but why? It's more horrific and haunting when it's just his face reacting to it, and you see it.
He was in shock, clearly.
Yeah. By the way, so I have a friend of mine who argues that Toni Collette was totally robbed for Best Actress nomination for this, and I tend to agree.
Is Toni Collette the mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was phenomenal.
Yeah, and I looked up the like Oscar nominees that year, and I believe it even more so now because like I think it was like Meryl Streep in The Post, whatever. It was like I did, but this is
in The Post.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie, solid movie. Like not great. It's really good.
Be careful. She vacations on the island.
Holy Frank.
Yes. Don't hurt me, Meryl. Yeah, but I looked up that and like her, and there was like a couple others who I'm like, why the fuck were they nominated and not? Anyway, award shows are bullshit. Is my point. I'll just digress. But yeah, what a fucking performance. There's a handful of scenes where it's like any one of these could be like award contenders. Like that dinner scene, as soon as it came up, I'm like, I just fucking gripped my armrests. I'm like, here.
She was getting like her face is like contorted with rage.
Oh my god, nobody wants to admit anything they've done.
You're the one who made me take you with me. And she's like, argh.
Every time he like talked back to her, I'm like, in retrospect, I'm just like, no, don't do that.
And then when she starts zoning out and shit, like saying shit, he's like, Mom, stop. That happened several, and he's smoking weed with his friends. He's like shaking and shit. Like, dude, it's just weed. He's like, hold my hand.
Brenlae, you're such a heartless bastard, Brenlae.
No, it's sad, man, but it's out of context. It's funny.
But you were laughing.
Actually, you know what got a laugh out of me? It was the part after at the very end when he sees his mom in the up in the attic when she's sawing her head off.
Yeah, with the piano wire.
It's like looking at it, that's fucked up. But then like he turns and he sees those naked old people and are just like that, and he's like ah, and he jumps out the window. I fucking lost it. Like that was fucking funny.
Hey Brenlae,
what?
What's scarier than seeing a bunch of naked people in the closet?
You naked?
Seeing a bunch of naked people in the closet smiling.
Yeah,
right? It's just so much more creepy.
It definitely is. This guy Ari Aster, like with this movie, and I don't know if you've seen Midsummer yet. Brenlae?
No, I've not seen it.
Okay, you should definitely if you enjoyed this, and enjoyed is a loaded word. Definitely check out Midsummer because this guy is honing in on a niche for himself, and one of the tropes that if he does it in the third one, it's definitely a him thing. Is creepy old naked people, usually smiling.
Is Midsummer on Netflix or?
Not yet. Had to go to other avenues for that one, but it should be at some point. I think it'll be on Crave at some point. Anyway,
Cool.
Creepy old people smiling. I wonder if he's drawing reference from Cocoon.
Cocoon.
Yeah, but like twisting it and making it as eerie and as disturbing as possible. It's might even be.
Speaking of creepy old people, have you ever seen The Visit?
I have not, but I've heard that's a great movie too.
It's creepy old people. It's fucked. It's good shit though, man. Watch it. Or I'll come to your house and I'll fucking steal Sherlock. That's what I'll do.
You'll visit.
Okay, I'll visit.
Yeah.
All right, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
You're like a psychiatrist there, Dave. You're like jotting notes down. And let's start from the beginning.
First, we find out the end. Then we go to the beginning. Oh, by the way, Freud was bottle fed. I don't know if you know that.
You said that 3 times.
That is why he had dirty dreams about his mother.
Fuck.
This little kid. Is she? Where is she now? Like, is she gonna turn into the Linda Blair kind of person where everybody like knows her from this, or the little kid from Sixth Sense? Like,
that's pretty much the same story for him. He tried other things, but nobody really has seen any of his other stuff.
Not really.
Pretty much still that one movie.
Linda Blair used to host this ghost encounters show thingy. It was fucking ridiculous.
That's a good question. There's no way to answer that unless we see her career. Like, she could go the way of Carrie Henn from Aliens, who played the little girl Newt.
Yeah.
Did one movie, literally that one movie, and then she went on to live a normal life. She's like a teacher. So maybe that'll happen. Or maybe.
So the girl has, by the way, I think she made a bigger impression on me than the Sixth Sense kid. The Sixth Sense kid was really like, it was another case of lightning in a bottle with a character. He was so like innocent and stuff. But this one, she was scary.
Yeah.
This kid terrified me.
Yeah, there were layers to her character. Like, this is another one of those things that benefits from the rewatch, because like when you're watching it that first time, you don't know about all this possession shit and that she's actually like the demon, like in the flesh.
Yeah.
So like, you were right to be creeped out, because that's kind of she was pure evil, but she still kind of had the bearing of like an innocent child who was kind of confused about what's going on. But at the second viewing is like, I don't think she's super confused. She's like, she maybe doesn't know exactly everything that's going on, but she's in tune with all these like forces around her, like that fucking weird. It looked like an electromagnetic fucking pulse thing that just you see it.
That strange light.
Yeah. And she'd follow it like Sherlock follows fucking glows off my phone on the wall. That kind of that's like the spirit, isn't it? Like, is that what that was? Because at the very end, it goes into him after he jumps out the window, and then after that he comes back to life, and he's basically Payman then.
That was probably my only criticism, was the light thing wasn't necessary. I think it was a little bit hokey. I think it was like spoon feeding, lazy people.
Speaking of things you don't notice the first time around, I noticed this. When the girl's outside before she becomes headless, there's almost like a gathering in the distance with like torches around it and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's almost like and especially when she goes like, whatever the guy's name was, like, I expel you and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, when
Brenlae, who's keeping all these friggin' candles lit? They're lit all over the place and no one's around.
I don't know.
That's really irresponsible, by the way.
Yeah. Becky actually, she told me when I moved along with us years ago, when I spent 3 weeks there because I did so much drugs. She told me, she's like, now, Brenlae, no candles or incense. There's this Chinese woman that was in here, so after incense going, burned down half the fucking house. And it was so goddamn expensive to repair. So I'm like, okay, no candles, Becky. No, there was a big fire. Yeah.
Wow. Do you burn any candles or incense at your new place?
No, I don't bother.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
selling my soul.
Speaking of fires, so Gabriel Byrne lives up to his name in this movie.
Which one is he? So good.
He burned real good.
Gabriel Byrne.
He's the dad.
He burned into that.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Did you see his pose? He was just like, he burned like, when a dog's on its belly or on his back and waiting to get scratched, he was just like.
That's the tightening of the muscles. Yeah. So, okay, where are we at here? Okay, so I like how they set up.
Let me just start at the very beginning. The girl, the creepiest thing, little girl said, besides the tongue knocking or the tongue clicking,
yeah,
was after the funeral, she's gonna be like, she goes to her mom, who's gonna take care of me when you die?
Yeah.
And it's like a little child saying that is like, that is so creepy.
The thing is, it was intended for her to become decapitated. It was a whole part of the plan of the people that were summoning payment.
Was it? No, I think.
No, I think that's how I planned it out, man. I think the whole thing, like, she said my grandmother wanted me to be a boy and stuff, and like it kind of worked out that her soul goes into him and stuff. I think it was planned for a very long time, actually.
Well, I think that I'm not quite sure, because wouldn't they have done that with the boy first before the girl?
Yeah, I don't know. I see what you're saying, but I'm not sure. Either way,
I think that was a runner-up. Like, and not only that, they're like, oh, well, we didn't want this guy because he wasn't the. What does it say what did it say in the book, that he possessed the most vulnerable or the weakest of the whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they maybe wanted him, but he was too. I don't know. Toni Collette, I guess she said that she didn't want her mother attached to him, right? Like, she's like, he was mine or whatever. And then later on, she's like, I felt bad, so I gave her my daughter. And then when she put her hooks into her daughter, like, that's when the daughter became, the ideal vessel for them, because the mother's was basically her mother, right?
Yeah.
Whereas she didn't get access to the boy in the same way to influence him and nurture him and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that probably made the difference in why they settled for the girl, even though Payman wanted a boy body. But when the girl dies, they're like, oh, let's go back to our original plan. Let's take the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I read it. Disagree? Agree? The cult's plan?
I don't know. I'm on the fence here, man, but yeah.
Don't sit in the fence too long. That'll chafe.
Or electrocute me.
Yeah. You never know which one until it's too late.
Right in the bow.
Well, you know what really lightened the mood? After telling her mom, like, when you die, who's going to take care of me?
Yeah.
Was when she went outside and she just, like, snipped the head off a pigeon.
Yeah, that was fucked.
And that just, like, then it's like, oh, it's a comedy.
That's when you see the people off in the distance, man. If you watch it again, you'll see the people down the hill after she snipped the head off the pigeon. I'm serious.
Yeah, I did see them. Yeah. Deep in the frame, there's often, like, some of those.
She's her grandma, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, my favorite of those was at the very end. Has one of those great transitions that you see throughout the movie, where it's like it shows the house outside, and then it's like daylight, and then it'll just shift to night. Those transitions are so cool. And then, like, there's one shot near the end, like before the big finale, it's the daytime, and then it shifts to night, and then there's a bunch of fucking those old naked people just dotted all over the property.
Yeah, pretty much.
When I first saw it, I'm like, is that what the fuck? And then it came back when they all showed up naked in the house later. I'm like, oh, they were just standing there the whole time. They were okay. That wasn't a figment of my.
Modern day Wicca or witchcraft, like Gardnerian Wicca, whatever. They call people that they do the rituals at naked sometimes. They call it going skyclad. I just thought I'd pop that nugget in there.
This is what. This is where we get Brenlae's expertise.
I used to read it, but I don't give a shit about it anymore.
Don't be so modest, Brenlae. You're bringing the info.
Jada.
You're feeding us tidbits. Tidbits.
I want some 10 bits now, damn you.
Yeah, I'd like those too. Donut holes for those American listeners.
Did you guys say you like Tim's bits?
Listen, what me and Tim have in common is none of your business, Dave.
His round bits you find them really sweet in your mouth?
Sometimes they're greasy.
That boy's got them golden nuggets.
Yeah. It's funny. That just reminded me.
So in class, dude learns about Herakles Flaw. You heard of that?
Fatal flaw, yeah.
What?
Yeah. Which is when arrogance ignores signs.
Yeah.
So, and then getting back to the question of tragedy is being more or less tragic based on having choice. So when you have a choice, you can choose right or wrong. But if you have no choice, and it's thrust upon you, which one's more tragic?
Yeah.
When you don't have a choice. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree too.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Pope Benedict XVI, it was compulsory, if you know the definition of that. It's more than a budget.
Yeah.
For them to join the Hitler Youth. So actually, Pope Benedict XVI was part of the Hitler Youth, and he actually admitted it on live television eventually. He denied it for years. But that was compulsory. He had absolutely no choice to do it. And I think that was worse than choosing to do it.
I agree.
All right, but what about, like, having a chance and then fucking up? Don't you think that would be, like, more tragic?
Like my college days. That's how I fucking failed.
Well, yeah, that's what we're saying. That would be more tragic because that. No. It is tragic, but is it more tragic? No, I don't think so.
Okay, here's a scenario, right? Here's a scenario.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we should get into the mental illness piece in this movie, but somebody gets mental illness passed down from their parents. They're schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm actually the first in the line, but yeah.
Yeah, and then there's people who maybe just do so much drugs that they go crazy.
Me too.
Right? So in doing the drugs, you make a bad decision and you end up that way. So which is more tragic? The fact that somebody made the wrong choice and ended up fucked up and could have been such a whatever. When their youth they were super smart or super artistic or both or just someone who got it from their parents.
Well, if you got it from your parents, you'd be much more prepared.
Who are you talking to?
You.
Oh.
What do you think I was talking to?
You just turned your head and went, "Stop it."
I said, "Fuck." I spit a piece of fingernail out of my mouth.
Oh, thank God! I thought you were talking to someone that isn't there.
No, but anyway.
Move the glass if you can hear us.
Shut up, for fuck's sake. Listen though. So apparently, it says it's innate. It's by nature. It was from passed down the family schizophrenia. You'd be more prepared by the time your schizophrenia took hold, because you'd have the knowledge of people before you having it. But if you chose to do all this fucking drugs and God, it's still tragic, but you have no fucking idea what you're gonna be in for. so it's more of a shock. So it kind of balances out that way a bit.
It's a tricky question, right?
It is tricky, yeah. When you put it
Shut
like
up,
that, that's a good example. Yeah.
Because if you're born with it, it is what it is. But if there's a could have been, but you made the wrong choice, right?
Yeah.
And there's each character in this movie has a chance to make a choice, but there's also things where it isn't their choice. They don't have a choice, right? Like, like the mother in this, she grew up surrounded by fucking crazy people.
Pretty fucking much.
Right, and I use that term, whatever. Like, I have mental illness too. Like, I can say,
we got Snip. We can say it. Yeah.
There's mental illness in her family, and she, her mom had dementia in the end. She had dissociative identity disorder, DID, which is formerly known as personality disorder.
Yeah, multiple personality disorder. Yeah.
Her father had psychotic depression.
Is this in Hereditary?
It's in Hereditary, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just the backstory they talk about her family.
They're in the grief meeting scene.
Yeah, and it's like, so she kind of, that's a piece of her, the way she thinks and is, that was not her choice. She didn't choose that family. All right?
No.
So that's a piece of her life that she didn't get to choose. But when she forced her daughter to go to a party with her son,
yeah,
when her daughter didn't want to,
yeah,
she chose. That was a decision she made. So she chose to send her off to some party for whatever reason, so she could work on her fucking stupid little miniatures.
Yeah.
Right?
They were impressive, though. They were impressive looking.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings style, man. Tell you what.
Yeah.
So did in that first bit, that first act, did we feel it was more tragic that the mental illness was thrust upon her, or that she chose to send her daughter to some teenager's party? What's more tragic?
I think the sending her off was more tragic.
Yeah, and that was done through choice, right? The little kid didn't have a choice to go to the party.
Yeah.
So that's her not making a choice piece, right? Yeah. But when she got to the party, she's 13 and she knows she has allergies.
Yeah.
She didn't say, "Are there any nuts in this?" She just ate it. She just ate the cake. So that's on her.
You know,
that's her. That's her choice.
She's probably just so used to having nut-free foods and all sorts of stuff within her own household, it just never crossed her mind to ask if it's nut-free.
I don't know, man. If you're 13 and you don't ask, like you're. Yeah. But then they said she's autistic, so maybe not.
Yeah, I think she was definitely autistic.
Is she just like possessed by this demon who's not human? So it's like. Yeah. That's another thing, by the way. You were talking about like the story about the brother that struck me a little bit odd, where she said he had schizophrenic, whatever it was, and he said that their mother was putting people inside of him. And it struck me and that's not, I mean, in this context, that's not schizophrenia. That's actually what's happening. Like that there was trying to do. Yeah. She was trying to put the king into him. So that's kind of tragic in another way, where it's like he maybe did he have that condition, or did nobody believe him because it was so just ridiculous that they're like, oh, he's got schizophrenic delusions. Whereas actually he was telling the truth because that's what was happening.
The
Right.
thing is, people like I've run into people and stuff that have schizophrenia that would believe that this story could happen to them, right? So
Yeah.
because schizophrenia is a very personal disease. It's not the same for everybody, right? So
Yeah. But like of course that's tragic in its own right there. Just that little moment there, I'm like, because she's talking about it like oh, he was saying all these crazy things and fucking that, so we had to put him in whatever, and he was schizophrenic. Like they're brushing it off like nothing, which
yeah,
in the real world that is like a delusional thing, but in the world of this film, that was actually happening. So it's like, wow, like fuck, like you imagine like the brother's story, like the whole thing of what might have happened there, like especially in in the second viewing, because everything that comes on later. So this time around, that hit me a little harder because it didn't really click for me even looking back on it when the movie went on the first time.
yeah.
I hadn't really remembered that part of it, but this time around, I'm like, oh fuck, like that kid, her brother was like victimized and like demonized for this thing that was actually happening to him, but he couldn't convey that because there was no way to prove it, right?
Especially when he was in class and he just starts freaking out and slamming his head on the desk. That was fucked.
Okay, so here's another situation. He didn't have a choice when it came to taking his sister to the party.
Yeah.
Right? So that's his not having a choice. But at the party, he chose to tell her to just go get a piece of cake so that he could run off and smoke some weed.
With the girl, yeah.
Right? So that was his decision that was negligent. That was the same way his mom forced her to go with him. Right?
Yeah.
So his,
which makes me mean to believe.
So what's more tragic, the having the sister forced upon him, or being at the party and not taking care of his sister? Which is more tragic?
Not taking care of his sister.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's fucked up, right? Like the whole theme is like, at first you're like, yeah, it sucks if something's, you're born with it. But it's worse if you're making decisions that lead to something when you went with a huge missed opportunity, right?
Yeah, but
it's a lot of
tragedy. You're talking about the tragedy. Oh, sorry, Brenlae. I'll let you talk. I just want to make the point that what you're talking about is the tragedy of not knowing, because we can never know how this choice is actually going to lead to this horrific fucking consequence. Sometimes you do have it's not tragic when you have when it's kind of clear what the consequence is going to be and you do it anyway.
Yeah.
That's not so tragic, but in this case, like just this thing, I'm just going to smoke some weed for a couple minutes. I'll be right back.
Exactly.
Like, don't expect
he had no intention for her to be harmed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I'm saying is, so you see a lot of college students, right? And it's usually a percentage of the students, usually a low percentage. They do too much acid or too much mushrooms, and they go psychotic for a couple of weeks, and they're fine. But there's also a huge majority of that, like, because people say, oh, imagine mushrooms, you'll be fine and shit. It destroys your mind for 12 hours. And they think, but they chose to do that, and afterwards they may have like psychotic episodes. And it's a shame because they never saw it coming on, and they were assured it wouldn't happen. It's kind of putting it out there.
Yeah.
So the son, or what was his name again?
Peter.
Peter. Yeah, Peter.
I expel you, Peter.
So Peter smokes weed. That's a choice. He's bugging out while he's smoking weed.
Yeah.
The weed today is fucking it. It's very close to the paranoia and the delusions that you get with acid, or with like shrooms if you don't have a guide, right?
Yeah, you need a guide, man, for sure.
So all of what happened to him, that like exposing himself, the vulnerability, being with his friends and still smoking weed after all that craziness happens.
Yeah.
That's a choice. That's a
Yeah.
choice. So when he's like, when he sees himself smiling in the glass, when he doesn't feel like he's smiling, he's tripping balls.
Just a tad.
So I question. So this is where I'm like, I question I question the reality of this God thing. I don't think I buy that, or the payment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's like, I think they're the makers trying to push that on us, but I'm choosing not to believe it.
I see what you did there. You're choosing not.
Choosing not to believe it because I think the mom had DID as well.
Perhaps.
Right? And there's some clues, right?
She's zoned out entirely and talked to a different person for several times.
Well, she's sleepwalking and trying to, set people on fire in her sleep. She's trying to do all this stuff, and she does actually see photos of Joan with her mother, right?
Yeah.
So if Joan and her mom are like together in pictures, and it looks like they're both into the occult, then, or the whatever, devil worshipping or whatever, then as a kid, who's to say she wasn't exposed to that? Who's to say she wasn't around, like, overheard or seen or known of Joan from her past, and then manifested that experience to become one of her personalities.
You
know what I mean?
That's valid. I mean,
that's pretty in-depth
the only thing that gives me pause about that interpretation is all the crazy shit that she does physically at the very end, like flying through the air
and hitting her head on the fucking trapdoor like a million times a second.
Yeah, and the ceiling. But is that a manifestation of the sun?
And I never saw none of that stuff, boys.
What?
Were you guys must have seen something I wasn't seeing.
Wait, what?
What
are you talking about?
I'm just kidding.
I'm like, Davey, did you take your pills, bud?
Yeah. Okay. Let's not skip straight to the flying stuff, because in the in a lot of sacred books, there's some really amazing, fantastical things that happen. In
standing in the air there. I don't know.
In the Quran and the Bible, Old Testament, like they're fantastical things, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you're having delusions, then if you're having delusions, you're like, I don't know. I just lost my thought.
No, I was just gonna ask, like, do you think then her flying around and shit, was that just a kid tripping balls, or like having an episode and he thinks he's seeing her flying around? Or no, I mean, she didn't see her fly, but
yeah, I think
here's a theory I just thought
like, who knows? Okay, go ahead, Brenlae. Go ahead.
So here's the theory. So at the end of the movie, he like that, like his sister. Was that a manifestation of his own guilt, causing him to act like his sister? Right.
Good question. That's right. So that's a bona fide question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like you're the reason your sister's head got knocked off, and it's not going to affect you. Like, you're just going to go back to being normal. You're still smoking weed that's super strong. You're tripping out. You feel like you're being possessed, right? Who's to say what his mom did to him when he was little? Like the fact that she under sleepwalking, or I don't know what you call it when you're in that state, the fugue state or whatever.
Somnambulist state.
She's like, I never wanted you. I tried everything I could do to have a miscarriage.
Oh fuck, that's awful.
Like
Yeah,
what?
I remember that.
What the fuck? Why would you say that? Like that's
I
fucking.
love her. I love her performance there too.
She has CID, which may have been, constructed or she got from the socialization of her mom. Then, like maybe Joan's in her head. Like maybe she is Joan. How would Joan get a picture? Like how would she, who's lighting these fucking candles? Right? She goes to Joan's house, Joan's apartment. She looks at the rug, and it doesn't say Joan. It says Joni. You take the J and the O off of Joni, and what do you got? Annie.
What?
Oh.
Right? And the picture is of her son, right?
Yeah.
And like there's if you watch that scene, there's another picture of the son that's actually on a mantle. So if she has DID herself,
her son does.
Then she could have fucked up her son that way.
And then he has DID. Perhaps, like what I was saying, it was a psychotic break he had. His personality split to accommodate the fact he couldn't handle the guilt of, by proxy, killing his sister. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. That's what's my theory.
Say that again.
Okay. So he at the end of the movie he's clicking around like his sister, like that, right?
Yeah.
So he manifested her as one of his, because he inherited DID from his mother, and it became apparent because he was so guilty, he felt so bad with his sister dying by proxy, by his hand, kind of, right? That she became part of his personality, so she could live on because he couldn't deal with the grief. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's a case of maybe he got it through socialization, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of like it being passed on.
Something like that, yeah.
Like through the
genes. They say though, like for schizophrenia can affect people in their late 20s or when they're a child. So it's could be innate. It could be hereditary. Hereditary. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to become like apparent as a child. So something brought it on. It was the tendency to have that illness was always there. It just needed something to push it forward. You know what I mean?
A traumatic push. Maybe.
Yeah.
So here's something that might support that. Suppose the mother is multiple. She's got the DID.
It is.
And she's acting out as Joan towards her son in these sleepwalking episodes.
Yeah.
Then it makes sense that he would hear Joan, like when he's bugging out, he would hear her say all those fucking whatever the what are those words? I forget what they were, but she was saying like all those devil words and shit.
Yeah.
Remember?
Latin?
And she was across the street and he was looking and
I expel you, Peter, and just going.
Yeah.
On. Yeah.
She's like get out, like
expelling.
Yeah.
And maybe that's guilt again, right? Do you know what I mean?
So but all those cultists are there at the end. So you're saying that like, okay, let's set aside the supernatural that's not actually happening.
Okay.
So you're saying like this cult they're believing it, they believe it, and that all the shit is happening, that this is the second coming or whatever, but what it really is a manifestation of all of these mental illnesses in this family. But they're seeing it at their perception is these different personalities are seeing are the actual demon or whatever, right? That they're
it's almost like mass hysteria in a way.
Yeah, like they're manifesting it because that's what they believe, and they're convinced all these things are evidence of the coming of payment and all this other stuff. Whereas it's just what you're saying.
Yeah. I believe, or I think, I don't know. I don't know what the author's intention was. but I think it's possible that it could just be in their heads, like especially if DID is in the mom, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'll tell you a little story. It's really weird. It doesn't quite link to this one, but it's just something sort of that I experienced at summer camp, it was a camp for kids with medical problems and like all kinds, like
I used to go to camp for visually impaired kids. But yeah, that's what you're saying.
yeah. So there was this. I ran the nature program one year, and there was a young girl who was just walking around all the time, just saying, "I'm a witch. I'm a witch. I'm a witch. I'm a witch." Like she was like possessed by this idea, right?
Yeah.
And I I used to talk to her and try to like figure out what's going on. She was just in her head she was a witch. And it turns out that she used to watch horror movies with her older brother,
Oh.
and that fucked her up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'll fuck you up.
So check this out. I at the time I hated going to the swamp, but I used to take kids there because there's so much, like you learn so much about nature that way.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the idea of like leeches and stuff, and so I was like, okay, we'll go check out the swamp, but just sort of, just stay, don't go in too far. Anyway, she was in the group with us, and we're like, I'm like, oh, did you see the frog? They're like, yeah, yeah. Tell them about dragonflies, how they eat other bugs that bug us, and you know, uh, they filter water and yada yada.
Yeah.
Anyway, I totally lost track of time. I look out, and this little girl is like way out in the middle of the swamp, and I'm like, oh fuck,
That sucks.
I gotta go get her. And I'm like, and I'm like, I'm calling to her. I forget her name now, but I'm calling to her, and to come, and she's like, she wasn't gonna come, so I actually had to like walk out through the swamp, and I'm wading through the swamp, and I'm like, ah, fuck, I'm sure there's gonna be leeches crawling inside my anus or my go up into my urinary tract there, and I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck, I was just like, oh, I was like, it was the worst feeling, but I had to go get this kid.
Mm.
So anyway, I got her, and we're heading back to shore, and I'm like just talking to her, and she's just calm. And for some reason, once we got back to shore, she never talked about being a witch again. She just was just normal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something must have triggered within her, like mentally.
Something happened,
Yeah.
and
That's inexplicable.
and since then I haven't been afraid. Like I've never had a fear after that.
A fear of what? You dropped out for a second.
Of swamps. I
Oh,
stopped being scared of the leeches and all that. It
Oh, I'm
just
still scared of leeches. Yeah.
I really like bleach, man.
but
So
One of your ding dong.
saying is there are worse things than discovering your child out barefoot at the edge of the property.
Yeah.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah. She was way overreacting there. Yeah.
But so it's like, so that young person, she, there's a good reason why she was bugging out all the time. You know, it's inappropriate for a young person to see horror movies. It's just.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's also inappropriate to subject your child to, demonic rituals.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Say the least.
But it's also is like is her mom, like the Ellen, the Queen Lay or whatever they called her, Queen Lee.
Queen Lee, yeah.
She ended up, like, who knows what happened to her. Like, if she had DID, she got it from something somehow, and it's like it fucked up her family. But do we know the reason? Is it physical? Like, was it thrust upon her, or did she choose
DID, from
to
what I
get
read,
into the occult, and then and then they, who knows? Like, did Joan and all those friends who used to do the demon stuff, did that, making the choice to join up with them, did that fuck her up?
So what I've been reading, I read about the DID is brought upon by extremely horrible physical or mental trauma, right? So it doesn't just pop in your head one day. It has to. It's brought forth. So basically, you remember Split. So okay, you have your personality. Here's me. I mentioned I have 3 other personalities. One was an asshole. One of them was nice. One was like the asshole. But they always called Bort the asshole. He would get the brunt of it. He would get the one beaten. I'd be sitting there reading a book, not actually, but I actually getting the shit kicked out of me. But the asshole, the other guy, he'd be getting beaten up, which makes him, an evil person. So it's a coping mechanism because they can no longer cope with reality.
Slow down. You lost. I think you lost Ryan too. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right.
Just
nice one. Okay.
Start over, but go slow because
right.
It's interesting what you're saying.
Okay. DID is brought forth by extreme physical or emotional or sexual trauma. Okay. So you remember seeing Split, right, Ryan?
Well,
the movie Split. Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. So listen though, like when he was being abused, his main personality, the actual true him, which are all of the true him, but would be in this room, like, I don't know, drawing or something, and one of his personalities would be getting beaten and tortured, which would extremely warp that personality. So it's a coping mechanism because they cannot no longer deal with reality, the trauma around them, that they recede within their mind to have another part of them which they don't know about to take hold and actually take the abuse themselves, have the abuse themselves.
Yeah.
So there's some dark shit going back to their family beyond just the demonic ritualistic shit.
Oh, yeah.
But it's only suggested, like you said, like if we're going down this rabbit hole, and hey, it's starting to make sense to me, especially even like the shit at the end where he's watching like his mother's headless body like go up into the treehouse, which is a creepy fucking visual. That has some kind of like a trippy, like delusional quality to it now. Like, oh, he's just imagining that it's going up there.
Yeah.
Because when he climbs up, it's already there, like bowing, like made to bow.
And his father was there too, charred up and shit. And, yeah.
Oh, I missed that part. Yeah.
Charred body, but yeah, it's his father. Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody's there, made to bow, including the mother, the other mother, the older one, the one who's black.
Yeah.
And rotted and shit.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're all in place when he gets up there. So, like, did he just imagine that it went up there like that? Like, that's entirely viable. So,
this movie can go
man, I never thought
like a 10
I never thought of it. This is interesting. Yeah, I kind of just took it like on its face because it just like the little supernatural touches, like that winking fucking thing that you don't like with the light and all that stuff. Because it's like. Because it's happening. It happens to the little girl. She sees the light too, and then the boy sees it. Peter sees it as well, and so it's like two unrelated incidences, or that they're two different people, two different situations, and they see the same thing. Like it's goes a little bit beyond mass delusion in that case for me. But hey, this is valid too. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the father.
Yes.
He's
Aja.
Something I noticed in that argument when the mom's yelling at the son. And then the son, yells back. After the mom yells at the son, or during the yelling at the son, he doesn't he doesn't like try to calm her down. He
Hmm.
just lets her say
I
what
could-
she wants, and then when the son snaps back, he goes, "Hey, hey, hey!" You know, like he's basically, you know, like correcting the way that he's acting, where he doesn't do anything. He doesn't correct the wife, like, you know what I mean? Like, same thing. Like she wants to go sleep in the treehouse, and it's almost like he's just used to her acting weird, like doing
He
stuff.
just he probably didn't interact with her when she was freaking out because he's just afraid it would fan the flames. Probably.
Yeah, and the seance, and like when he gets burned,
Yeah.
like they do show us the paint thinner or whatever it is, the Varsol or whatever that she ends up spilling before she goes to burn the book. So in her head, she probably thinks that she puts the book in the fire and then he catches on fire, but she could have just set him on fire and not remembered and
Yeah.
just in a
Yeah.
fugue state,
Yeah.
you know. So there's a lot of stuff that, you know, and he, before he gets burned, he's like, she's like, throw it in the fire, and he's like, no, I'm not going along with you anymore. Like I'm
Yeah.
not gonna, you know, just pretend like this isn't messed up.
Yeah.
Again, that's valid because how many times throughout the movie has she like there was that sequence where she has like a dream within a dream, which was fucked up, where she goes into she still finds the ants on her pillow and stuff, and then she goes
Yeah.
into finds her dead son covered in ants, and then she's like, ah, and then the son is suddenly just alive. Like, what are you doing here, mom? And then
Yeah.
they have a moment where she's like, wanted a miscarriage or whatever, and why? Because I did this, blah blah. And then she's suddenly dousing him in fucking what is it, paint thin or fucking whatever,
Yeah.
and starts setting them both on fire. And then she wakes up again. So it's like she can't trust her reality. So why should we trust her reality?
Right.
Even in that moment where supposedly in the real world, in the real time with Gabriel burning her at the fireplace, like so. Yeah,
Well,
again,
the Catholic Church teaches, and they still do teach this, that there is such thing as demonic possession. They do have exorcists across the world. So,
Yeah.
ready to spring into action.
yes. I don't necessarily believe it, but
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Vatican Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange. The dad is like, I guess I don't know. I feel like he's an enabler.
Mm.
He's sort of like almost like, well, that's how she is.
Pretty
Because
much.
she is different in so many different scenes
Oh yeah.
that looking back is like, yeah, maybe she's a different person in these different scenarios. Like
Yeah.
when dude wakes up like from getting choked by someone
Mm.
and she just happens to be in the room, and you know, like he's like, why would you choke me? And she's like, I just came in here. I wouldn't do that, and da, da, da. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, if he felt like he was being choked, she was fucking choking him, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Like the odds are 99.999% that it wasn't him dreaming. It was her actually choking him, considering all the wacky shit she's been doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, that's another thing about her choice. We're kind of bouncing around again. But like in terms of choices, like you were talking about, like she chose eventually to have him because it seemed like, I mean, she tried to not have him. Is that an example of her choice? I guess because she
Yeah.
tried not, to have him, but it didn't work, and she still had him anyway.
Right.
So everything stems from that because he's the one who eventually makes his own choices and brings the whole thing crashing down.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Hey, dude.
Uh,
I actually have to really use the bathroom.
oh yeah, go ahead.
I'll be right back. Okay.
Yep.
Sure.
All right.
We've had since before.
I gotta use the washroom too, but I can wait.
Okay.
Should we keep talking about stuff or?
Yeah, we can talk about stuff. We can just.
Okay, here's a trippy thing. The rug. You know how the grandma made those rugs?
Yeah.
So she made one for the little girl, like that girl.
Yeah.
They called her Charlie.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the name on her rug, it says Charles.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, because she was expecting. Oh, that's a nice touch. She was expecting it to be a boy.
She wanted it to be a boy.
Wanted it to be a boy.
So her mom, if having DID, thrust upon her this kind of like world perception, or she basically what do you call it, when she wanted her to have a son, and then she probably knew it wasn't going to be when she was having the daughter. Oh no, that's fucked up. Well, I was thinking of the son. Anyway. Oh, it's just crazy. This fucking movie's crazy.
That's so crazy. I was gonna say. Oh, this is what I was gonna say earlier. So, working off your theory that Joan is like another aspect of her. So, you think she did know? Like, she later on, like, she finds the book with all the pictures in it of Joan and her mother.
Yeah.
And it's like played like a discovery, but like, so you might be saying that like that person, whoever that was, whether it was Joan or whoever, did exist and was her mother's friend, and she'd seen those pictures before and just like blocked it out or whatever, and she put her face on this personality.
Yeah.
That's Joan. Okay.
Yeah. Like, how else would Joan get pictures of her son to do a seance with? Or
Might be from the mother. She was living with them, remember? Like, she had her own bedroom, and then like remember when they moved the bed, or the bed was moved, and like she had that symbol underneath it. So she was conducting some shit even while she was living with them.
No, I mean, how would the picture of Peter end up in Joan's apartment?
Is it the same picture? Just a version of that picture that she might have had before.
No, I mean, like, how could Joan, the character in the movie, end up with her with a picture of Peter?
And I'm back.
Unless it was Annie herself who had the picture. And
okay, what the fuck are we talking about?
Did everything herself. It kind of makes it gives you proofs that she's probably Joan. She's herself. She's Joan. She's
and there's also nobody there when she goes to confront her. Like, it's just the empty apartment with the candles and the picture and the whole setup.
Yeah,
I know, but again, guys, who's lighting these fucking candles? Right?
I don't know, man.
It's Pagan or whatever his fucking name is, the Pain Man or fucking Devil Dude. It's the Devil Dude doing this? I don't think so. This she's lighting candles and she's forgetting about it. How many times have you lit something and forgot about it?
I have actually. See, I had these 2 candles when I was in group home once. I was right baked, and I lit them. I was like just peacefully kind of just sitting there, and then 5 hours later I woke up and they were
gone.
They were like liquid. So yeah.
That was a riveting story.
I know. It just captured the audience.
Who's making the candles shoot like flamethrowers? That's what I want to know. Just sprinkle some of that varnish in there, just like, and just make it shoot up.
Yeah. Or like that. Remember Are You Afraid of the Dark? When they throw the dust onto the fire and it goes.
Oh yeah, that was a great show.
I fucking loved it. It's actually all on YouTube.
Remember Ryan Gosling, early in his career, was on an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
What?
Never. Fuck yeah. Had something to do with a creepy old radio or something. Anyway, look it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that I guess there's not really to talk about. I'm just mentioning it. What about that creepy fucking blonde guy who's like at the funeral at the beginning? He's like right. He's looming over Charlie at the casket, and he's just like grinning, like. And then at the very end, he's like grinning in the dark, naked. Like that's the creepiest fucking visual.
Okay, so this is for another theory. This is another theory that I had about this, or I don't know, hypothesis. I can't prove anything for sure either way. But what if Joan and and all of these followers of the Pigeon, or what's it called? Daikon? Gaiman. So the Gaiman. Payman. The Payman.
There you go.
If you want payment, and you got to gay payment.
Why are you the 8th king of hell? The 8th?
Why not the 9th?
The fucking 8th? Not even the 3rd? Anyway, go ahead.
Northeast? Nobody goes there. What are you doing?
Ryan, no. 1st is actually not the worst. 9th is the worst. So he's almost
close. Well, then why not the 9th king of hell? Anyway, never mind.
I don't know.
Dave theory. Dave is focus theory. What's your
theory? The other theory I have is maybe Joan and the followers of Payman are fucking with these people because they need to do these rituals in order to worship Payman, right? So whatever, like Payman has, if you look at the imagery, he has a thing attached to him with 3 heads on it. So maybe they need to sacrifice 3 heads to serve this evil
entity.
Entity. And because at the end, when dude's standing there and people are bowed down, it wasn't just the people, beheaded people who were there. It's not like they were all lined up with just those. It was some without heads, and then there was real people. So maybe they all work together, right? Yeah. Like that guy was at the funeral, the guy who's smiling all the time.
Oh no, I know that. It's all like, in a sense, a big conspiracy, in a sense, because they're all in the same clusterfuck of
Scientologists. Maybe they're just like Scientologists, and they're just pulling all kinds of scams to fucking, because they need, because in their head there's this devil, and they gotta appease it. So maybe they orchestrated everything to make everybody crazy, to make everything happen, to, who knows?
It's like in The Village, right? The
Village. It's a weak theory, but it's not like.
No, it makes sense. In The Village, remember The Village, right? Okay.
Yep.
So the color red was banned and shit, and there's these monsters that clacked over the place when it wasn't real at all, but the people made them believe that to protect them from the modern world. So I'm trying to see a correlation here, but it was all it was not actually a demonic thing. It was all in their heads, but they thought they had to have this master plan, had to become a part of a group of people, right?
Another good movie to watch for this kind of dichotomy where you're kind of questioning whether it was real or whether it was mental illness is you guys ever see The Exorcism of Emily Rose?
That's a good show. I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, and it never, like this movie, I guess the more you talk about it, the more I'm kind of on board with your idea there, Dave. It's like that movie in the sense that, I mean, it gives you all the stuff you expect, but at the same time it never definitively answers what happened, because it's like based on a true story, as movies can be, I guess. And it kind of dramatizes what happened, but you are kind of left with questions at the end, whether it was in her head or whether it was actual possession, and you're gonna fall on whichever side that you happen to believe. Kind of like this is a little more it's not based on anything true, so they go fucking nuts with it. But
there's so many possible theories with this movie, though.
Yeah. Oh, this is a conspiracy theorist wet dream of a movie.
Pretty much.
This is for them. Definitely. By the way,
no, I can't see anything.
Just in terms of casting, when we were talking about Joan, when fucking Ann Dowd, who plays her, when she shows up in this, I'm like, the first time I watched it, I'm like, oh, this shit's not gonna end well. Because she's fucking Aunt Lydia in *Handmaid's Tale*, and she is the epitome of evil. But like kindly patronizing.
Which one's like that?
Yeah.
She's Joan. She plays Joan. Yeah. You ever watch *Handmaid's Tale*?
No, I had the book. I read the first.
I saw some of it. I did read the book. Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm halfway through the book right now, so I'm getting through that. But she's on. Yeah. Anyway, she's got her own little niche going of evil, smiley. Kindly maternal evil.
It's like that person from the Harry Potters, the lady that's a tired fucking contrite bitch, but she's always happy. You have to see it together.
I haven't read or seen any Harry Potter. Surprise!
What the fuck, back monster?
Yeah. The power of Snape compels me. The power of Snape compels me.
It's fucking good, man. Give it a shot. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, now that some dust is settled, I might go back to that. But Dave, do you have any more?
Yeah, go for it, Davey.
Or thoughts in general?
Yeah, so I think another clue to my original theory of, it's mental illness all through and through is she does a little miniature of the scene of the accident.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot about that.
Which is so morbid, like.
Oh, very much, yes.
Yeah, and the dad is like, come on, like, what if Peter sees this? This is gonna destroy him. And she's like, I forget the wording, but she was just like, something. I'm just maintaining the integrity of the scene or something, and it's like, it was like a totally different character, like a completely different person. Because any regular person wouldn't do that.
Well, she's an artist, and artists are not regular people.
Again, perhaps it's what one would call a coping mechanism. So she recreates the scene, but like by recreating it, she's almost making it her own. Where it's hard to describe, but do you know what I mean?
I love how lifelike her miniatures are, to the point where they play with it in both ends of the movie. Like the first shot is this great little atmospheric pan where you're going through her studio, and it kind of ends on the bedroom, Peter's bedroom.
Yeah.
It's in, and then it blends, and then it becomes like the actual bedroom.
Yeah.
Whereas at the end, we're in the treehouse with all the bowing people, and it pulls back.
And it's the reverse.
It's like almost like you're inside one of the miniatures at the very end. Or you're outside of it, I should say.
All through this, you can't help but feel bad for fucking Peter, man. Like,
man, he goes through so much shit.
Oh, I know. I mean, he can't even smoke weed anymore. Like, he's freaking out, shit, smacking his head off to death.
He can't smoke weed anymore.
It's guys, there's times when we make decisions or choices, just like that, and we don't think of the consequences. I saw this one film, I forget the name of it, but it was like took place in Mexico, and it was about this gang, and this young kid was maybe 13 and used to hang out with the gang, and the gang, whatever, initiated him, and he started bringing his little brother around the gang, and his brother was maybe 6 or 7, and then all this stuff happens, right? And then his little brother dies. And I'm like, holy fuck, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But that guy, that 13-year-old kid, made the choice, seeing what the gang was all about, knowing how violent they were and all of that. He only saw the woohoo, we're a gang, we're a family, we're together, we're this. He didn't consider that bringing that little kid around them could fuck them up or get him killed, even though he knew the violence that was in the gang.
Yeah.
So it's like just making a quick decision about something in life can end up destroying your life.
Yeah, I think
drugs is the best example I can think of, where you're just like, hey, let's fucking do some drugs. I'm bored, or let's go have some fun. Let's do something.
Yeah.
And you end up picking the wrong drug, or doing some that maybe, especially with fentanyl these days, like people die, and it's like, it's like these life-changing decisions that people make without really knowing, like really giving thought to it.
Enough thought, yeah.
It's fucking dangerous.
Or like No Country for Old Men is all about that, right? Everything that happens in that movie is because Llewellyn Moss went back to give that dude some water who was dying.
Yeah.
If he had not gone back, he'd be fine.
Yep.
In that movie, like everything that happens, him getting hunted by Anton, everything is because the Mexicans drug cartel guys got onto him because they found him at the site when he came back with the water. So that little instance of like compassion or whatever, that, his conscience tugged at him and brought him back and almost got him killed until it did eventually. Anyway, so so choices are theme of this movie, and part of the theme of this movie, and choices are also the crux of good drama. So any writers out there, remember, if your characters are not making choices that lead to conflict, then you're having a pretty boring ass fucking script or book or whatever. So
nobody wants to see somebody watch or eat popcorn watching CNN for 2 hours. So I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Or coffee and eating breakfast and talking about Like a Virgin. Once, but that's okay. But
all right, so let's go down the road of maybe this payment is real.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Where is payment from actual like devil books, or is it just made up?
I've never Googled that, actually.
Brenlae, I thought you'd know about this.
I can Google it right now.
Okay.
What the fuck's going on?
You guys keep her going. I gotta hit the lube.
He's gotta hit the lube. We're gonna look up payment stuff. Payment.
Taimon.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, he's
Hereditary, the real story of King Paimon. It's Den of Geek. Hereditary.
Oh, he's had a bit of upward mobility during his career. He has appeared as the 9th spirit in the Goetia, the 22nd spirit in the whatever. In the Libra, he's first listed as the 6th spirit and later as the 3rd king. So he's up to the 3rd.
I can't hear you, bud. Escape phone. Escape phone. Oh.
Hey, Max, turn off.
Sorry. Pill time.
Wow.
That,
Time to take my pills.
I'm just like we're talking away. We hear da 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 da, and we couldn't hear each other or anything.
Oh my god. Glad that was a number one. So
Here, listen to this.
Real story.
Just listen to me. Payment is a spirit named in the Lesser Key of Solomon. And some blah 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 blah. In the book of here you go. The Golian Maker begins entries on King Payment known to be quite obedient to Lucifer. King Payment appears as the benign spirit of Goel. Oh yeah, okay. So basically, it is an actual occult thing, like Ryan was saying. Boop.
Yeah. Apparently, he was a third king at one point, so he's moved up to the 8th.
Yeah.
Or down, depending. It's like, king rankings of kings in hell is like golf scores. The lower, the better.
Exactly.
I think
that's no, man. Lower would be 1. The better.
Oh, right. Oh, never mind. It's the opposite.
Better is there you go.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we got payment's a real thing. Well, not a real thing. A real concept, a real mythological figure.
So at the end, when I guess you hear Joan's voice talking about like, what was she saying about the Trinity, rejecting the Trinity?
Yeah. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's a category.
Yeah, like rejecting the Trinity. How did you guys feel about that part, considering like Christianity has, I guess it has like it takes a leap of faith to believe in some of the fantastical stuff about the Trinity, where what they're really hoping for is, I forget what she said. I think she said something about wealth and the familiars.
Give us good familiars, or
honor, wealth, and familiars. So what are familiars, right?
Familiars are those creatures that do your bidding, aren't they?
Basically, like Sherlock is Ryan's familiar.
Sherlock is my familiar. Yeah.
He's so fast.
Tig is yours. And Brenlae, I don't know.
Whoa. Familiars do your biddings, or you do their biddings?
No, they do
work
yours
with you magically. So what I'm going to say is, this is actually an old school witchcraft movie in a sense. This is like shit. Like, this is not Wicca that was like fluffy bunny witchcraft made up in the 30s or 40s with Joel Gardner. This is like fucking Aleister Crowley shit, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The law.
You want a good series about a cool series about witches and that kind of shit? You ever watch Salem?
I heard seen of it. Marilyn Manson makes an appearance in that one.
I don't know if he makes an appearance, but he does the opening.
He's a doctor and everything. Like,
does he? I must have missed that season. I'm missing one season, but first 2 seasons were really good. So just put that out there.
He was in the later seasons.
Oh, okay. He does the great theme song. That's a burn through the witches, burn through the... Yeah. So, is that the show? Is that the discussion? What's
I guess so, man.
How many out of 10 do you give it?
Okay.
I give it a solid 9. I gave it an 8 the first time around. I really liked it, but this time around you get more out of it with more viewing.
I give it 10 out of 10.
Right on, man.
I give it 9.9 because of the goofy light thing.
You're taking a 0.1% point off for the...
Typical Dave.
But it was pretty damn riveting.
It was good.
I'll be interested to hear what you guys think of Midsummer. It's his follow-up.
Would that be on Netflix?
Not yet, but when it is, I'll let you guys know.
Sure, we'll do it when it comes on then.
Because I'm Eastlink and they hate BitTorrent. They're like, stop. I'll kill ya.
No, it might be on Crave at some point, but it's funny. Whereas this movie, a lot of the horror, the worst of it, kind of happens at night because it's kind of traditional that way. This one takes place like a lot of it during the day, and it's like a beautiful Swedish countryside. It's so fucking weird as a visual juxtaposition. Anyway, and it works. It works. It's actually creepier with all the sun and fucking smiling old people. And
You know what has the most bizarre fucking ending? Us.
Well,
oh yeah, that was really, really amazing movie.
It was so dark, but fuck
it just flips humanity on itself.
Basically, yes, yeah. And it turns out she was actually the one that was down below that came above.
I don't have to spoil anything.
I didn't say nothing.
All right, we don't have to spoil anything here. No. So
counts, baby Jesus.
So Dave, whose choice is it next time? And whose choice is it next week?
I think it's yours.
It's mine. Okay. I just put on Netflix here to see what we can wrangle up. And did you want to pick Donnie Brasco at some point?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll skip that. Well, let's do. You ever see a Social Network?
Oh, that's a good show, man. That's a great show. You should see
Social
it,
Network.
Nope.
It's great. Trust me, you'll love it.
It's about the Facebook.
How it started and shit.
Oh yeah. I think I did see that.
Oh, whatever.
Well, I think we might do it again. Let's do the Social Network.
Sure.
I probably won't be in next week.
Compare and contrast where Zuckerberg was and where he is now as a fucking destroyer of democracy. Let's do it. All right. We got.
Well, thanks, dudes. That was fun.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Excuse the bathroom break.
Albino Assassin Brenlae.
I glow in the dark. Or Canoe Cove. Never the same.
So active, ladies. That's how much heat he's bringing.
Yeah. It's like a rod of uranium.
Hey, it's like, ladies, it's like having your very own glowworm that vacuums too.
I don't have a vacuum. I sweep.
Do you?
Yeah.
Even better.
I have no carpets, man.
Might plug up your plumbing, but it'll be worth it.
You're gonna plug plumbing. Holy shit, man. That was a big shit I had.
Excellent.
You ever take one of those? You got to stand up.
No. Well, man. Mine was a section. It was a several section log, but never standing up, man.
Oh, geez.
Remember that in Glengarry Glen Ross when Al Pacino's talking like he's like, you ever have sex so good that you feel like it, or no, that's not it. He goes, you ever take a shit that makes you feel like you slept for 12 hours?
Yeah, I have.
Such a great movie. We got to do that one sometime too.
The Devil's fuck. What is it? Keanu Reeves is in it. We mentioned it the other day.
Devil's Advocate.
Yeah, it's a good show, man.
By the way, guys, if I were you, I check out these the free films they got out from around the world, the film festivals from all over the world.
Oh yeah.
I put the link in the group there. It's We Are One Global Film Festival.
Cool.
Nice.
And it's free. You can make a donation, but you don't have to. But there's some pretty good movies.
Nice.
So,
for all those listening too, it's out there while you're listening timely. Hopefully, this will still
All
be
5
relevant.
of you.
Yeah.
All 6 of you. We'll be more optimistic.
All right, guys. I think this was a good bit. We're going to do the social network. We covered Hereditary. We did it all here today.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Feel good?
Good.
Feel good.
It was good.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. Thank you, Brenlae.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Dave, Brenlae, everybody listening. Dave, you want to say the last word? You're recording.
I'll send you the video.
Actually, it shows up in the timeline. It's all good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Later, fuckers.
Later, fuckface.
Bye.
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 Oh, he left before the recording stopped. Oh.